Let's look at some features of Excel that will be helpful when putting together your Chapter 7 Excel template. First, we'll look at the date function. For the date function, we click on the function key and click on date, and we'll define our year, month, and day. So I'm going to use 2011. I'm going to use my month of January and the first day of that month. I'll copy this cell over. Let's examine the cell. So the year I have defined in cell D6 up above, but notice that I added a +1. So now it's going to take the previous cell and add 1 year. I'm going to keep the month and the date at January 1st. And so it just advanced it by 1 year. Then we can simply copy this down and it'll just keep advancing it by 1 year. We can also do this by advancing semi-annual periods instead. So I'll copy over that cell and let's look at that a little closer. The year stays at cell E6, but the months, what we do here is add 6 months. So it's going to advance the date by 6 months and keep the cell at day E6. We can copy that down and you can see each period is advanced by 6 months. The next feature is data validation. Data validation allows the user to only select from a given list if we use the list function within data validation. So they can either click on annual or semi-annual. So this is nice if you've got a template and you want the user to choose from certain options, certain predefined options. To do this, you'll type in your list somewhere within your spreadsheet. Then click on the cell where you'd like your list to appear. Click on data and then data validation. You'll get this box. We're going to put list in as the option, and the source will highlight our list, and we'll press OK. Within that cell, you'll only then be able to pick between annual and semi-annual. The third one we'll look at is the if function. The if function defines these cells as either acceptable or unacceptable. So let's demonstrate that in a new cell. So we use the if function, and the logical test is whether or not cell A24 is greater than 1,000. And you can see that it's testing that to see whether or not it is. And it's false. It's not greater than 1,000. If it's true, if it is greater than 1,000, we want it to include the word acceptable. If it's false, then we want it to say unacceptable. Now we can copy this down. You can see that it read the cells in this column and then automatically determined whether or not it was greater than 1,000 and then put in the appropriate term as we defined. So if I change this to 2,000, this automatically changes to acceptable. If I put it back down to, let's say, 500, it goes down to unacceptable. So this has a lot of different applications, the if function. Absolute value is a good thing to remember. Now, if you have a particular calculation within your cell where you only want it to multiply by cell A33, only 5% for every single thing that you do, and you don't want it to read a pattern, what you'll do is you'll define cell, we'll say cell A33, 5%. But then when we want to make this an absolute, do not change from A33, the quick way to do that is simply click anywhere within the cell name and click on the F4 function and you'll get the dollar signs. The dollar signs will stabilize the A and the 33 and it won't vary from that particular cell. So now if I copy down 5%, it stays at 5%. Now in this example, in B37, I just used B33. When I copy down B33, the next cell is B34, the next cell is B35, and the next cell is B36. And that's helpful too in a lot of cases where you want Excel to just copy it down in a pattern.